Welcome to All About the Game podcast in association with Clinched. You can download our podcast on all platforms every Friday. Clinched is a sports app that helps link clubs with coaches. If you were a coach in rugby, soccer or GAA and you are ready for your next role or your first role, download and sign up to Clinched app for free today.
And Leinster looking to counter here. Seán O'Brien, well, if there's one player who can take a hit from Courtney Laws and stand and see it off and bounce off.
Raised thanks to the accurate free-taking of John Doyle. 2 points between the teams.
Football is hurling, and maybe in that moment should have slipped maybe to go have a conversation and say, I want to make that decision, but it ultimately comes down to them.
Hello and you're very welcome back to episode 19 of All About the Game podcast in association with Clinched. I'm joined by Seán O'Brien and I'm delighted to have Will Connors of Leinster and Ireland in the room. Will, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks lads for coming in. I better not step out of line here this evening.
You
get a bit of a sandwich here.
Although I was out of line last week, I left just
left us high and dry.
Head wasn't in it last week.
You're going on about how you're doing the weight, so you're a bit stronger today now.
I'm very strong today. Could turn the twoies upside down.
Well, I'll be fancy myself. No, look, to say, Will, it's great to have you in the studio. I suppose lots going on with rugby at the minute with the Lions and ourselves, I suppose, with the app trying to break into rugby and trying to link up coaches and managers. So it's good and it's a busy time. I suppose we'll start with you and we'll go back to the start. Obviously, you went to Clongowes Wood, which is a big rugby school here in Kildare, and went to Leinster Academy from there. I think it was Leinster, and then made a low-key debut for Ireland, I think man of the match and a score and try. So it's been good to date, and I know you've a few injuries. I suppose, how did it all start? Was it always rugby? You're a Kildare man, or was it GAA, or what? Like growing up, what was the dream, I suppose?
Yeah, it's funny. So I started in North Kildare with my rugby, and then my club football was Kappa. I'm down by Dundee, so small club down there, but great community club. So kind of played both the whole way through, and then kind of as North Kildare, I kind of just took a bit of a liking to rugby. I actually got thrown into rugby because my teacher in primary school told my parents that I was going home crying a lot. And I was a bit soft, essentially. So my dad.
He's an emotional child.
Yeah, very emotional.
His dad is very emotional. Get into a rugby club quickly.
Things haven't changed. Yeah, so my mum was trying to put me into the ballet, but the dad put me into rugby and cracked away with that. But yeah, no, loved rugby, loved football, and that was the thing. Going with the two of them, I think, was great. You got a bit of a flavour of everything, and kind of as I got older, went to Clongowes. Rugby took the kind of more dominant picture in my mind. I was like Clongowes, that's kind of what we lived. You're living with your best mates, and you literally train after school, then you go do study, and then you're back out training or doing something. Like there's always some kind of sports ball in your hand, whether it's rugby, football, whatever it is. So to be honest, I never actually really dreamed or anything of playing like at a professional level. I kind of just took it as it came, really enjoyed it, and as it was my final year, we were playing at the time it was James Ryan, Max Egan, all these they were all part of the St. Michael's team, and we were the underdogs. We always kind of liked being in that position, and we turned them over, got a good win that day. And Leo Cullen was up in the stands. He told me he was watching the other two lads, and thankfully the blue scrum caps stood out for a bit and managed to catch his eye. But yeah, like from there I fell in love with rugby. But to be honest, it was actually funny. As I went into the academy, I remember it was coming into the summer, and the Mallons down in Joe Mallon Motors, Anthony Mallon, he was the second team coach for the senior team down in Kappa, and he got on to me. He's like, "Will, would you mind to come back, play a bit or whatever?" And I was like, "Sure, look." He was like, "Be good for the fitness." So I went down playing during the summer with the senior seconds, and to be honest, at the start I was like, "Oh, this will be grand. I'll run around, have a bit of crack." And she's fucking competitive. I remember coming up against these lads, and I was like, Jesus, he won't be able to move. Next time, getting elbows into the back of the ribs. He's already halfway up the pitch, and I was like, so I got a nice rude awakening to football. But it was great crack. I did that for 2 summers, kind of get the fitness back up, and that was kind of the last bit of football I got to play. Through the rugby, then kind of that really, once you go kind of senior, it's just all kind of rugby. And look, having the exposure of both, I think has been something that's been great. And being from, unlike Shawnee, being from an unfootball county, you know, Carlow, don't get into.
I was exactly the same as you.
Don't get into Croker too often. So thankfully, I've been beginning up to watch Kildare and Croker a bit. We haven't got too many wins up there, but look, we're on
the way back anyway.
Yeah.
And I suppose Clongowes, it's kind of, when you talk about rugby in Kildare, it's the big school, and as you say, it's probably rugby first and schoolwork second, or I don't know if they like me saying that, but it's huge there, and I'm sure you're getting the best of coaching. And it's even interesting to hear that side, because Shawnee, we talked about you taking maybe a different route and going through your club and getting spotted that way, where maybe a lot of, like you spoke about James Ryan, or you're essentially nearly on trial probably in those big games. You said Leo Cullen, the people you want looking at you are there at them big games.
Yeah, it's very similar though, because North Kildare would be exactly like Tullow Rugby Club in terms of that. The only difference would have been is that we'll probably kicked on to Clongowes, obviously. Very expensive place to go, by the way. just putting it out there.
Yeah.
How much was it, Will?
Thankfully, I didn't have to pay it.
Yeah. It's more expensive nowadays, I heard.
Yeah, it is.
But,
yeah.
You know, it's a great facility there, because I actually remember going to one of my first Leinster youth trials there. It was held in Clongowes, and then the next one was held in Wilson's College. But the facilities in Clongowes, when you go in, it's top class. And we were actually there last year with Leinster, and it's just gotten better and better. They probably put more of an emphasis, have the last few years, back into rugby.
Yeah,
I think there was a new principal.
There was a new headmaster came in, and the shift kind of focused more, obviously, back. Like, it was always academics and rugby, and you know, the lads who were playing in the rugby team, it's not like they did bad academically. Like, everyone, you still pulled your weight and you still went well. But yeah, there was a big shift kind of towards kind of cricket and more towards the arts, which naturally just was the way. But yeah, there's a big push now back in rugby. Like, the facilities down there are class. Yeah. Like, sure, when we were down there, it's like a full professional. It's completely.
You're probably nearly, before you go into Leinster Academy, you've probably been exposed.
But more, if you want to compete at schools level nowadays, I just think that's the way it's going. Yeah. You look at St. Michael's, one is the facilities, but two, secondly is the money they're putting into the infrastructure of the rugby program is phenomenal. And you have all these, I'm not saying all parents or anything, but you have certain beneficiaries that are, you know, trying to drive the rugby. They want their son or whoever it is to try and make it. Like, that's what they want. But I think it's different in the likes of Clongowes a little bit than St. Michael's or whatever, because it's just rugby up there. Like, there is other sports in Clongowes, but the area that people are coming from is very different cultures. So
yeah, you could have from all parts.
You could have them from everywhere, which is nice, because it's a nice country feel to it when you go in there.
Yeah,
I think. But yeah, it's nice that Will has come up through the country system kind of and got a taste for North Kildare and what club rugby is about too, because he understands what the hard work is about.
And at that time, say when you're playing with Clongowes and schools rugby, do you play, like, would you have played with Naas rugby or
with North Kildare? So
it's North Kildare.
So the first and second year in the school, I was still going back and playing. I remember we were playing a final with North Kildare down in Barnhall, and I got dropped, so I think that was a real kick in the teeth.
And at this stage, you were in Clongowes, were you?
Yeah, I was in Clongowes, so I thought I was like, geez, I'm going well at the moment, and then go back, and I got dropped. So, but like, no, it was great. And you see, the thing with North Kildare was tough, because after that, then a lot of lads go to the kind of bigger clubs like Naas and Barnhall, because they want to get more exposure to kind of senior rugby. And it's the same, obviously now Tullow have done such a great job of being able to hold on to players, and you can see that success, how that's pushed through, and that I suppose promotes the game then from a younger level, and people then grow up thinking, okay, well, I'll play the whole way through Tullow, as opposed to in North Kildare. When I was there at the time, it was, you start off in North Kildare through the junior age, and if you want to kick on, it's going to Naas, going up to Dublin, going to Barnhall, or going to a school, which was
I suppose you're in such close proximity to the AIL clubs is the problem.
Exactly.
With clubs in Kildare as well. You have Barnhall, obviously, are pushing on strong. They're trying to Naas, very, very good setup, very strong at the minute. Probably will be stronger this year with who they've signed. We, for instance, down at home, there's obviously Carlow, Tullow are beside each other, or 15 minutes away, but then you've Enniscorthy is the AIL club. Is there someone going to travel from Tullow to Enniscorthy? Probably not. I'd say it would be from the far side, so it would be Wexford's club they'd be kind of taken from and drawn from, and even South Dublin type. Would some of the lads, Enniscorthy lads, would be living up there and they'd travel back down. That's what I've just heard. I don't know exactly, but it's nice that Tullow, where we're situated, I suppose, we're there. They either go to Naas or they'll have to go to Enniscorthy if they wanted to go to another level. Where North Kildare and even Kildare, for instance, if you're a really good player, you're probably going to one of the other clubs eventually, unless you're a staunch club man and you just want to stay in the club and try and drive everything together. The
natural progression might be to.
Well, I would say even to some of the Tullow lads, if they did want to go and play a higher level of rugby, you'd never ever stop them. You want them to go, and if they come back in 2-3 years' time, they're coming back with loads of experience. They're probably better coached. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're
better setups.
You're not turning sour with them, or you're not.
No. Yeah. I think a lot of clubs do. I had a text from a director of rugby there recently in the southeast, and he basically said to me, if anyone approaches any of our players this year, they'll be writing a formal complaint. And I sent him a message back saying, "What do you mean, a formal complaint?" I said, he was on about AIL now, but this is probably more so from our women's team side of it. Right. And I was like, so you're saying that if some of your girls wanted to kick on into an AIL team, that they wouldn't be allowed? You wouldn't be
falling out with them all together.
You wouldn't be encouraging them to come to Tullow, which is an AIL club at the minute. And he said, "No, we want to try and keep all our girls." So that mindset to me is just closed off. Yeah, you know what I mean.
It just gets sour then as well.
Yeah, it gets sour. They're
probably going to go anyway. And then they fall out.
Well, actually, the thing about it is the way I heard that he was speaking to him afterwards was that it was nearly like, you just stay, like, don't bother going there, and not really saying, if you have ambitions, you're probably your best foot forward for next season, girls, would be to actually go to an AIL club. And if you want to play for Leinster, if you want to do this, or if, you know what I mean, if you want to progress, but like if you didn't like it or you didn't get a good opportunity, you can always come back to the club, exactly. And that's just the way I think.
I'm sure there's lots of people or players that have been in that situation.
Well, I know myself from Tullow, like I know they're AIL now. Like Tullow ended up last year, but as a consequence of one of the other teams dropping out, they stayed in AIL. It was a very tough year, but like previously to this, there was 5 or 6 of our players approached to go play AIL. Now, 2 of them went and played AIL for a season, but then they came back when Tullow were starting to progress again. But like, it's great because they come back, they're better players. But anyway, there's just,
and I think have that mindset.
I think people need to broaden their horizons a little bit when in smaller clubs like that. You don't have to fight tooth and nail.
It's nearly like in the GA. Sometimes you'd see, if a club has a player and they're maybe not getting minutes for Kildare, and lads are going around the club saying, "Sure, what's he doing in the county setup? He's not getting. He'd be better off here. He's not allowed playing the league, and he's in there and he's not getting any game time." And you're like, "Sure, they're never going to make." You're going to have to bide your time. And
it's a personal thing too.
Yeah, exactly.
He obviously has ambitions, even though he mightn't be, and we might like. Will tell you it's such a tough environment in our place to like with competition. And how do you keep like, let's say 60 lads happy during the year? You're not going to keep everyone happy, but the level that you're getting coached at, the level of rugby we're playing when you do play, the chances of success and where you're going to develop more, all those things come into consideration. So are you in the right place for yourself to develop, to get better, and to actually win something?
I suppose you got famous for your chop tackle was what I hear lads talking about when I was asking a few questions about you. Will, was that something that you kind of around that time with Clongowes that it was kind of you got known for, or was that later on? I know you joined the Leinster Academy after that. It's kind of your main, what would you say, a trick or that lads kind of talking
main
about
technique. I don't think there's so many lads able to do tackle like Will is able to tackle. And I think just going back to when Leo was watching that game, and we've openly had this conversation before, me and Leo, that was probably the first time he's seen anyone tackle like that. And you talk about Max Deegan and James Ryan and all those lads. they were just getting like, they catch the ball and next minute bang.
Yeah,
and he chopped the legs off him. So they were going nowhere. And he was, I don't know how many. I think he made the most tackles that day. Did you?
Yeah, we had a 10-minute spell at the end, and we were just camped on our line, and yes, it was a lot going on. But yeah, like they kind of just ended up. To be honest, Noel McNamara is fortunate enough. Noel McNamara is off now with Bordeaux coaching the backs, and he was over coaching in Sharks as well. Has had a really great career coaching wise, but he was our underage coach in Clongowes, and he, to be honest, I didn't really know tackling any different, because I remember when he brought us out and he had a net and it was that high and we were all going under, tackling under this net, and then literally, so all my friends, that's how they tackled through the ways. Like I remember one of the lads even up in he was playing in Galwegians, one of the lads in UCD, and you'd be going down watching these club games and the lads are just burying into lads, just knees all the time. It's kind of just what we were taught, but thankfully, yeah, it ended up just being something that I kind of carried with me. And look, I love that part of the game. I think it's like that whole contact level, that area, I absolutely strive, and that's why I've gone on to do the studies in it, because it's something I think, there's so much talk about it being like concussions and everything around the tackle, and it's like trying to understand them more. So I kind of just have gone on a deeper dive into it. But yeah, I've probably been stuck with the chop tackling thing. I can carry as well, Seán.
Yeah. There when I said about the chop tackling, see it early going off.
His chop is his superpower. Every player has them. That's one of Will's, definitely. But no, he's carrying well. He carried well last year, didn't he?
Yeah, Seán, he'll be looking after me a bit. Like, in fairness, we do a bit of work. Yeah. That's when you get your real test, is when he runs full speed at Seán. You can practice a bit.
I'd say we can go after him and see what the chop tackle is all about. But as you say, but it's probably, as you say, it's gas, like you were trained that way, and without even thinking about it, you're probably just going in and tackling. And maybe other lads have come from different coaching and a different perspective, but as you said, it is a bit kind of your superpower. But and then I suppose coming into the Leinster setup, like that must be a great experience, I suppose, when you get called in terms of, I don't know if Seán was you still
I was there,
playing away.
Boys were chomping at my heels at that stage.
Yeah, it must be great to come into that environment, like, and obviously I know you're thinking further on down the line you want to make it, but there must be an element of, geez, I've made it to the next kind of level, or where you want to go, step up from Clongowes. How was that? Was just a whole new experience? I suppose you had the Clongowes we talked about being professional setup, kind of.
Yeah. How
did you find stepping into Leinster?
It's class in the fact you actually do walk in and there is that element of a bit of starstruck, like obviously coming up with like seeing Jamie Heaslip, Shawnee, Sexto, all these lads, and then you're in amongst it, and I suppose you quickly have to realise that this is now your job, this is where you have to try to get ahead of these lads. It was funny, I remember early on I was in there and I think I was injured at the time and I had a shaker and I was in doing gym, and Shawnee comes up to me, he's like, what you having that? And I was like, just water. He's like, you need to put creatine, you need to put everything into that, the bloody the amino acids and stuff. And I was like, and then literally,
he was slight though. He was
I haven't changed.
I was trying to get bigger.
You didn't run far me for a few days.
So I remember I'd literally be going around like the gym every couple of days, and he'd be having a look into the shaker to see what was in it. I hated the stuff, but I was fucking throwing it in.
It was a thing called Creact, wasn't it?
Yeah, Creact. That was it.
I wouldn't have taken any creatine or anything when I was like after coming in. But this Creact there was a lot of science behind recovery, obviously, and what I mean by recovery with Creact was you could train really hard on the pitch and then come into the gym and get a shake into you just after the pitch or 45 minutes before the gym, and you nearly feel like you could train exactly at a real high level again. And I thought it was bullshit at the start, honestly. I actually did. I said, Creact, I don't know if I'm taking this stuff. Anyway, I started taking it, and literally I was like, because sometimes you'd be so fucked coming off the field, and they'd like, we'd see it as well as coaches now. You'd see that the lads are tired, you know what I mean? They've done the work, they're doing their best, and then they have to go back in and do a good gym session. So how do you get yourself back up for it? You know, lads are hot. Obviously, Typo Coffee.
We get to it.
But just this stuff, I was going around with some of the young lads after they started to work for me, and I was like nearly promoting this stuff.
I thought you were getting cash for it or something.
Unfortunately not. Although it was Ross Nutrition at the time.
Yeah.
ROS Nutrition, and Daniel Davey was the nutritionist, and he had a good relationship with the owner of that Deepak, so that's how we were getting all the ROS stuff. But
you're getting exposed to what they're doing.
I swore by it, so I did, like, at the time.
So the rest of you is
well, that was the thing. I didn't have a choice.
But you know what, it's funny, you're probably coming from, as you say, you're playing schools rugby, you're kind of one of maybe the bigger strength kind of lads, and then you're stepping into Leinster and you're probably going from the bigger kind of unit to seeing the likes of this lad and other lads, you know, I need to get up to another level now.
Well, that's literally it. And I remember even the very first training session I did, there's a lad in Connacht now, Josh Murphy, and we look very similar, but he'd been up there for 2 years or so, and he's a niggly lad, he's always starting fights, and I was training away, just mind my own business, and anyway, he started getting in a fight with Jack McGrath at the time in a mall, and then next thing, Jack McGrath starts thinking it was me, and I was like, oh, Jesus grand. Anyway, I remember I like got a pass and I kind of chewed, and I was like, oh, nice pass, and I got whacked right into my chest. I thought I broke my chest. I honestly couldn't take a deep breath for a year. I was literally gonna. I was like, I'd say that was in the first week training up there. I had him coming and trying to put me into Creact. I had like Jack McGrath trying to take my head. I was like, jeez,
welcome to senior role.
A vid, like, I think I was talking about this with someone during the week when said there was a group of us young lads that came through at the one time with Kildare, and we came in, and I remember there was a player, Chalky White, and he's the soundest fella and just so nice, and you'd go into his dressing room and it's just welcome into the panel, and he's sound, like, and the man would take your head off on the first training session or two. He'd kill you. And I remember off the ball, he'd just bury you, because we used to do drills then, and the geezer would say, right, give me 20 lads in bibs or 15 lads in bibs, and I'd watch and see if he was grabbing a bib, I'd grab one. Try go on his team, because the soundest.
You knew what was coming.
Soundest fella, but like from both point of views, I suppose, like, Shawty, would you have thought maybe, this lad coming in now into Leinster, I know you don't want to creel a lad, but no, I'm going to let him know what we're about.
Yeah, I would have never been that way in my head, in terms of like, you want to like sort out one of the young lads or anything. But I would have been of the thing is, there's a bit of a place for you here now, and if the opportunity came where you could be physical or something. No, I wouldn't. No,
I know what you mean. Not in dirty, but
no, you talk about Josh Murphy there, and even Ty Byrne, for instance. Ty Byrne got some hardship off me, like proper. Like, I used to beat him up a lot, and like, yeah. But I always.
Is Ty Byrne same position as you?
No, Ty Byrne. No. Well, Ty Byrne was a second row /
second row,
six, let's say, but he was more of a second row with us. But he's exactly like he is now, only for his way smarter now. Like, he'd be in the middle of everything. And I always used to say, I always said it to all our coaches. I said, there's something with this lad, like, I'm telling you, he just doesn't go away. But I don't know what it was at the time, whether contracts were, like, whether other lads contracted for 2 or 3 years, and it didn't happen for him.
Against him, yeah.
You look back now and I wish it did happen for him, because he'd be someone we'd love to have in our.
I think he was man of the, was he man of the match last day?
He's man of the match. Yeah,
he ran in a try anyway.
But someone like him, who's very annoying, you would be getting into a lot.
Yeah,
but that's just because you don't want. I always say, you don't want someone ruining the training session, but you want someone to be very competitive. But he'd nearly be. He can go overboard a little bit sometimes, I think, and I would have done it myself when I was younger. Like when Wilson there coming in, when I remember coming in the first day, and we were training in Belvedere, and like Keith Leeson was the 7 at the time, and I remember watching him running, and Eric had finished up at that stage, but there was Geno, like, for instance, Geno will take your life if you done it to him, like. But like, you were always going around mustard, like trying to break up rucks and poach balls and stuff on them, but they'd sort you out fairly quickly. But it's just a progression then after that, where you actually feel, okay, I'm getting stronger, I'm getting fitter. I'm, getting a bit more respect here, and then you climb.
And you probably see, and probably Sean, even from a coaching point of view, you might see lads that maybe get in there now and they buckle and they're just, would you like that? I know at that stage if you've got to the Leinster Academy and all, but maybe some lads that
it's a battle, obviously. Some of the younger lads nowadays, I would say myself, my personal view on it would be that the schools nearly overdo them a little bit,
right?
In terms of they're like robots, so they don't kind of think for themselves a little bit, and they don't have. Some of them don't have their own, personality kind of like type thing.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of lads in there now. This year's academy lads now are it's actually very different, I think, already. The first year academy players have come in. Some of them are speaking up, and they're different type of players, I think. So I like to see a little bit of that. I'm not saying the schools is bad for rugby or development of Leinster, but just because their programs are so structured, it kind of, when they come into us, you want them to loosen up a little bit and show a bit of skill and a bit of flair and a bit of off the cuff stuff, and like use your superpowers, whatever they are. But so I hope in years to come that happens a little bit, And the other thing about it is then it's there's an expectation on a lot of those schools lads, I think, by families, by outside pressure, and it's hard when they come into this environment. We're there to try and facilitate and help them, but I think they're there thinking that we're just judging them and saying that they're shit or they're not good enough, right? But we want them to be good.
Want to develop them.
But that's the other side of the trying to figure out what type of characters you have and what type of characters you're dealing with. Is there someone that wants his arm around him? Can you tell this fella straight? It'd be like Will as a senior player now. You'd be able to tell Will straight up what it is like. Where it could be a young fella in his first year academy, you might just have to pull him into a room on his own and say, look, everything all right. Like, I don't, your head's not in it at the minute. Are you under pressure? Or, come on, like, you need to.
Yeah, everyone's different in their own way.
Everyone's different. So it's just learning about that as well. And that would have been one of the big things I'd say I've learnt over the last 3.5 years coaching, is just get to know the personality a little bit more, rather than actually saying to myself, jeez, I don't think he's going to make it. There could be a lot going on there,
Yeah, lots of it. Yeah, I would say things. I suppose you've made 55 appearances, I think it is, for Leinster and 9 for Ireland, which is fair. What age are you, Will? Sorry, man.
29 now.
29, yeah. So, and I know you've been injury ridden in between, and it's been tough, but still lots of rugby to play. I suppose major debut, it was against Edinburgh, I think in 18 or 19, and out, was it away to Italy?
It was at home to Italy, but it was during COVID, so no fans.
Oh, fake.
So all the 9 games, there wasn't a single. My parents never got to see me play for Ireland.
Oh, right, jeez, mad. And a match displayed at a try. Like, how was that, I suppose, in terms of Leinster making your debut for Ireland? Like, it's a huge achievement. All the players that go through, like, it's a small percentage that do make it, I suppose, at that level. And how much did you enjoy it? And I suppose representing your country is the ultimate.
Yeah, like, it's funny. It's like, obviously making my debut for Ireland is in an empty stadium, but it doesn't take away any of that feel of singing out on the Veen, being like kind of in the green jersey. Of just, it kind of felt surreal. And I remember the game just went perfect for me. We won well, and I remember even like just after just being almost pinching myself, and then I got I went to call my parents, and I got whipped for a drug test. So I remember I was just there, like, I was on my own.
I
was on my own, fucking in the corner, being like, this is very odd, and your man's there talking about, oh well, we need to test you for this, do the bloods, all this kind of crack. But so it was a very weird first cap experience, but I think it was just even the same with my Leinster one. Like, thankfully my parents got to go to that, and I think that's the thing, that as you get older and you think back even through all those games, like, even when I'm looking over the lines, the parents will travel, they'll do anything to get over to these moments. And I think it's class, even looking at that photo of Hugo and his dad there the last day, like, it's so much goes into those moments, like, so much goes into even that. My first cap for Leinster, I remember my parents, I'd say, being the only Leinster fans over in Edinburgh that day, freezing cold, and just that moment and meeting them after is just something special, and that's kind of what a lot of people remember from their first cap. Those kind of moments, and I'd say you're the same. It's the moments with your family, with your loved ones, that really kind of hits home. Like,
and there's a few lads probably that you would have come through the academy with as well that probably debuted around at one time. So it's nice to have them around you there, because they're ultimately the ones that pull you through as well, you know.
Yeah.
When you're in a dark spot or things aren't going that well, or you have an injury, and you know you've had good days, bad days. So like that group, like Will has lads now on the current Leinster team that would have come through with him, and I would have been the same.
Yeah.
You know, and you need those lads around you.
Absolutely, yeah. As you say, you have that kind of initial bond with them, anyways.
And that's the thing. I'm lucky. Like my group, and they're some of my best mates. Is like I made my debut with Hugo Keenan. Like we were on the pitch to like the same day, and this, you know, Jimmy O'Brien, James Ryan, Max Egan, all these lads are like, you know, they're your best friends kind of coming through, and to be able to have all these memories with them as well, like you said, it's class. Like they're friendships you'll have for life. And it'll be one of those things, sure, God knows where we'll be in 15, 20 years, and you mightn't even see them, but it's like you come back and you just have all these memories forever, you know.
Yeah.
Come back and you give each other a look. I've had that a few times. I genuinely wouldn't be that great at like ringing, let's say, lads who I would have been very close to playing. Like, I just wouldn't. I'd send them an odd text and stuff, but I wouldn't do that with anyone really. But it is gas crack when you meet at a wedding, or you know, there's a stag coming up, and next minute you just see each other, and you just it's just a look. And it's like, it might be a crazy look, and you might say, okay, tonight's going to be a good one. It could be something like that, but it's just
but you can't bait that.
It gives you that feeling, that giddiness, and like, I know what this lad is about, like,
you
know what I mean, and you know, we're going to have a good time, and we're going to catch up, and it's all good like that.
I actually I seen an interesting one, and I was like, maybe he was only about 14 or something playing on the senior team. I seen on internet it's about Hugo Keenan with the C team. He was probably just way younger or something, was he?
No, he was useless at rugby.
Was he?
Useless. And that, like, it's funny because there was another lad on, so I remember he did make the senior cup team, and there was another guy, his name is a good player, Hugo Keenan, who was the hooker. And it would be like, Hugo Keenan is running down the wing, and I kept hearing, I was like, is Hugo Keenan's having some game? It's like, and then I hear this lad, Hugo Keenan, little scrawny fella, like he literally burned it, as Barry would call him now, but he was just football mad, like soccer mad, like all his mates, even from school, like he wasn't really that big into rugby, and he kind of just really took to rugby. He's quiet. He's a sponge. He just takes on so much information. He's obviously quite athletic, and I think that's why his best ability is availability. He's always injury free, and he puts him, and you know, he's hard.
Because even watching him for the Lions, he doesn't look like a big frame or like might get run over, but he's like,
he's mentally strong as well. Yeah. He's good that way, you know. He's very reliable, is what I call Hugo now. Very, very reliable and experienced, and he's a good communicator now, and he's probably, his leadership skills have come on a lot in the last few years, I think, as well. So I know he's definitely, I was delighted for him, because like anything could have happened there. For instance, if Kinghorn had been fit for the first test, you know, like, you'd back Hugo all day long, like, no problem. But I don't know, there was something telling me that they were just going to go with Kinghorn initially, you know.
Right, yeah.
And he'd been sick the whole,
and then he'd lost 6 kilos, and there was all these bits and pieces.
He's probably one person that doesn't have it to live with.
And to come back now and just do, like, first of all, to play like he played incredibly the last day. But if you watch that game, like when you're actually going through the game yourself, like, he hit the far ruck before that try on the far side of the field, and worked his whole way around, and he worked around Finn Russell, and Finn Russell went back inside and popped the ball to JR, and James Ryan carried in. But like, that's where Hugo's come from. He's hit a ruck at the far side of the field, and just, he does that, like, you'd see that picture 10 times in Leinster games every day.
Yeah, and probably stuff like myself or someone watching,
you wouldn't see it, like, but that's just his attitude and mindset as well.
To get around.
He just works hard, and that's the thing. You look at his meters after a game; they're always
sky high,
much higher than anyone. That's just his game. He like best Bronco, and he prides himself in that, and that's his superpower. Obviously, he's an incredible player and everything else, but like,
That's
like
what he
that's
gets the edge over other lads. And I seen you're doing a PhD at the minute. I'll let you talk about what I did in tackling. Was that something that, you know, kind of that interests you in terms of your own game through injuries or concussions? I know it's big in rugby, and I know you've carried a few injuries. Or was it just something that interested you and you kind of took on, or how's it been going, I suppose?
Yeah, like I'm 3 years into it now. It kind of started, I suppose, through my time being injured. I got a lot of exposure of practice and tackle technique, and kind of there's a lot of, it looks very complex, the tackle and stuff, but when you kind of break it down, you can train yourself to be a lot more effective in it. And my background was all computer science, so I kind of came to an old lecturer of mine from computer science and just said, look, is there a PhD in this, where I suppose trying to visualize the tackle through kind of using computer science techniques, so trying to, I suppose, break it down, because a lot of stuff be done through kind of video research and stuff, and human bias of watching 1,000 tackles, you know, you don't get a good understanding of it. So just, I suppose, trying to incorporate kind of computer vision, AI into the tackle. But anyway, I won't bore you with the details, but the whole motivation behind it was really because I think the tackle in rugby it's the beautiful thing about that contact. It's, you know, it really makes the game, but there's so much talk around concussion, and a large proportion of concussions are based from the actual tackler, like it's up at 80-90%. And I don't know, I just thought, is there any way where I can add a bit of value in that, and being able to, I suppose, shine a bit of light around it, that, you know, so that's kind of where the motivation is, to try, I suppose, make the game safer and try not to get rid of the tackle. Like it'd be terrible. Get rid of tackle in rugby,
rugby's dead.
Yeah.
It's mad.
Is it something that, like, obviously you've been tackling your game since you started playing rugby, you know, or them big hits? Obviously, you know, you might pick up small things. Have you picked up anything from the research to date? Like, obviously, look, as you said, there's so much video now and there's so many different things, but, you know, as Ratton, maybe it's not discovered yet, but you know that you might even tweak about a tackle or anything like that.
Well, like, to be honest, it's like, even because obviously Shawnee does a lot of our contact skills, and a lot of it is around the footwork going into the tackle, and you push that really hard, and it's being able to actually control your body. It's that period before you actually commit to the tackle is 90% of it. Like, you know, if you're completely off, your stride's wrong, and that's where you catch yourself wrong, and that's why, like, and
you've no real control over your upper part of your body if your feet aren't close. If you're far away and you're lunging at a tackle, there's so many variables from the carrier, one, but also you've no control of anything here from your trunk up.
Yeah.
So that's why you need to be close when you're making tackles, the way you're actually in control of yourself as such.
Yeah.
And that's where lads are, that's why you'd say, like, oh, that's a reckless tackle, because you've no control of your body, or that you've got clipped with a knee or something because your feet are too far away and you've lunged at him. You know what I mean? And you can't adjust then once you do it. Where if you have your feet close and, you know, your head is up and your eyes are focused on where you're going to tackle, and then you make good shoulder contact, at least there's more clarity around it with your whole body.
Yeah. It's funny even hearing that. Like, obviously, as I said, my first sport is GAA, and then you'd be watching rugby and you're just thinking clatter. Do you know, like, you're just seeing lads.
There is a bit of that in the technique part as well sometimes.
Yeah, but
you know, some lads have, like, so just for Will's sake, for instance, Will can fly off the line at real good from here to 5 meters and still make a really good tackle, but he's practiced it loads. You know what I mean? Gary Ringrose would be one, like, who's practiced putting good shots on, flying out the line, but he practices it with, like, a change of footwork.
At that stage, you're not thinking about it. As you say, you practice so much that it's just,
and all that kind of stuff. So that's where you want to, like, the best probably defenders or tackle tech guys do an awful lot of it. And it's like, I would say that even in our setup to some of the younger lads, look at the amount of little 5-minute blocks this fella does, and, like, get in with him even, you know, help him and, like, learn off him as well.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah,
exactly. The luckier you get with your tackles, the more you practice. But
it'll be interesting though when you have that finished, though, won't it?
Yeah, and that's the thing. To be honest, a lot of it, I'd say, will come back to supporting what's being done, and that's the thing. I think when you look at Leinster, and I suppose how much we kind of drive to tackle, and it's constantly after training or in training. There's little segments of tackling, and it's muscle memory, like you said. You keep hammering it home. Eventually, you get used to that footwork, and that's a huge. Like I said, that's a huge proportion of it. If you can nail that 90% of it, that footwork, you're laughing.
And also as well, parents, I would say this to parents, if any parents are listening to this, that I would always have young or parents coming up to me with youngsters that are starting rugby saying, oh, there's head contacts and all this kind of stuff, like they're 6, 7, 8 years of age at that stage. That's where like foundations are going to be laid, but like it's different at our level with the speed and the power and everything people have. So they're seeing it's important for us to get it right, for them to see it.
Yeah, in practice. Yeah,
in practice, and not
so
people getting knocked out, or not people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That you're using the right. Yeah, you're using the right technique, and once you're doing that.
Yeah, and once you're taught properly, I would say I would put that back on the parents, going, well, whatever club you're in, and even my own club, it can be way better. But like, we need to get better at tackling. Yeah. We need to do more of it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Deadly. I suppose off the pitch, Will, you're involved with Typo Coffee. It's good stuff. Anyways, had my first taste of it there this evening, but. Yeah, yourself and Conor Murray there. Conor Murray from St. Kevin's, not Conor Murray.
Not the Conor Murray that wears the tan.
If he wants to get in on it, though, let me know. Yeah, get on to us.
And has a cockapoo. Wears the tan as a cockapoo.
Nothing wrong with cockapoos or dashings. I'm a little miniature dashing.
Dachshunds are alright.
I suppose you got involved and it's going well. I think you have three locations at the minute.
Yeah, we're
GA clubs and
we're flying now, thank God. Started off nearly 2 years ago now in Minute GA was our first drive-thru location. And to be honest, we haven't looked back from there. That just really hit the ground running. We didn't realise how many people were actually going to take to it as quickly as it did. It kind of just got off the ground, and to be honest, there's 3 other lads in it. It's Connor, Donal and Gavin. The amount of work they put in behind the scenes, like Connor, I'd say he goes across half the country just with coffee, everything. His car really smells like coffee half the time, but he's mad for it, and he's going home then farming as well. Like, he's doing 2 things to get this going, but like, I suppose now the fruits of it are starting to come through. Once that kicked off, we said, look, we'll go for Leak Slip. Leak Slip, thankfully, has gone great, and our most recent location is Lomans up in Mullingar, and it's just been a trend, I suppose, now that we're in all the GAs. But so any GA clubs out there looking for a drive-thru coffee, let us know. But yeah,
big commission.
Yeah. And Sean, he's not getting any.
For anyone in those locations, there's 30% off coffee for all listeners if you use the code in description of the episode. Valid August 5th, 1 use per customer.
Yeah, so that's on it. So we're roasting coffee as well. So that's how we're supplying all our shops now. We kind of said, look, we'll give it a crack, and it's been unreal. The coffee, like, you tried it yourself. I'm not being biased, but it's gorgeous coffee.
It is.
And yeah, like, you can order it online, and even for small kind of cafes, if you're looking to give it a taste, get on to us. We're happy to, like I said, Conor will drive anywhere to drop you a bag, so let us know.
Deadly. No, and that's one. You let the lads know you're a clinch listener anyways, and
you're laughing there. You're laughing.
That was the 60%, 30% off. No, fair play. No, I have to say it's good coffee, and we wish you all the best with that. I suppose quickly before we finish up, Lions tour has gone on at the minute. It's done before the third test. It was a funny one, Shawnee. You've been on Lions tours, and Will, hopefully you could be on the next one. The series is over. Obviously, I know there's an element. Let's go and do the clean sweep. But would there be also an element now if they can let the hair down a bit more? The job is done, or what way?
No, I actually don't think with that group that they're going to be like that. I just think with Faz, I think that's what happened on the 2017 one. It was like let her hair down now and not really get ready for the last battle. But the lads of the series 1, granted, that's fine. They'll be a bit more relaxed, but I think like they were training yesterday and today, I think, or they were training today maybe it was, and probably tomorrow, and then they're off. But I think he will want a 3-0 series. I don't think he'll be happy with getting beat by this current Australian team, and from the Australian side of it, I can see it being more physical this week than last week. So that's
the man Skelton bought a bit more physical.
Yeah, he did. Valentini's out though, and Alatoa's out. But they're both injured. But Skelton will be in. I don't know. They're announcing the team tomorrow. But if you were in Australia's shoes and you had something about you, you'd be licking your lips, because the series is won. So now you're going to test the mettle and the top 3 inches of these boys that are in the Lions.
Yeah.
Will there be many changes? I hope there's a few changes. I hope some of the lads I hope a Josh, for instance, gets a shot at being involved in a test match.
Yeah.
He's one of the most consistent players in, last few years of the Six Nations and stuff. So I hope he changes up a little bit. And Tom Curry, while he done really well the last day, I think he's struggling with his hand. He's not getting over any ball or anything, but he's doing his work all right. But I think a few lads like that might be nice to give him a start or get him involved at some stage. But it'll be an interesting game. I still think it'll be an interesting game this weekend.
Yeah.
And I think for the sake of the series, having that so close last week will keep a bit of interest in it now from the Australian side of things. But yeah, it was an exciting game last week. Great finish, obviously, and we talked about Hugo earlier.
Getting over the line. I suppose just quickly, the Dan Sheehan try, you wouldn't have got him with the chop tackle on that one.
Yeah, it's I actually don't know if I must go on to him and see, did he know what he was doing at the time? Because
I think so.
Yeah, because it's kind of one of those things as well. It's like, now that's happened, that'll keep happening. It's kind of like the tap penalty in rugby. Exeter did it 3 years ago, and now everyone who's 5 metres out goes for a tap penalty. Once you see it work once, it kind of becomes a thing. So yeah, you're going to have to defend air and ground. It's going to it's going to get vicious.
It's hard to chop someone in the air.
Like, he didn't seem to leap. It didn't look obviously.
Yeah, I think he knew what he was doing, because the first one he's actually looking for the ground. It's like a voluntary tackle is what we'd call it.
Right.
Just to get quick ball or try and generate quick ball. The second one he carried a bit lower but tried to stay up, and then there was no chance of it on the third one. He knew what was coming. So
because it's very rare that you score on the first phase like that, and like the first one is a set up carry, because there's it's literally you're 5 metres away, 3 lads are coming to smash you. It's very, very, no one gets through that. So to go over the top of it, I don't know.
He scored 61 tries in his career so far, I think he's 102 games or something.
Jeez, like that.
An outside back, honestly, an international
unheard
outside back wouldn't score that.
Good Clongowes, man.
Huh?
Good Clongowes, man.
Good Clongowes.
Is he Clongowes?
Clongowes, yeah.
Where's he from?
He's Dublin. Yeah. No, but he kind of just even in Clongowes, he would have been in 4th year when I was in 6th year, and we saw him throwing darts. He has the most natural line out throw you'll see, and even at that age, it was class. And we kind of approached him and said, "Do you want to come play?" And he's like, "I'm happy with the social rugby this year." It was 4th year, transition year, and sure, didn't stop him looking now.
He's a very shoot the breeze fella though, Dan. Nothing phases him.
Right.
Nothing. Very relaxed. Wouldn't matter if you put him into a pressure cooker. He'd walk over it exactly the same. So that's what's so nice about him and good about him as well, because he's just carefree nearly.
Yeah.
Cares a lot, but
it doesn't get
to him at all.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's not even at that age. It's he knows himself that because I know if I was in 4th year and I wanted to go play senior cup rugby or whatever it was, I would think, oh geez, I have to be going training with this. But he backs himself. He knows what he can bring to a game, and that's kind of the way he's gone through his whole career. And like you said, he cares a lot, and that's the thing. He's a great team member, because he'll always be there for a pint. He'll have a pint with you after whatever. He's a great lad to have around the group, and that's why when you see him going out for a try like that, same as Hugo, you can't be any more delighted for them.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thanks a million for coming in. It's been a pleasure.
Wasn't a joy,
No, it's been a pleasure for us here at Clinched and all about the game to have you in. We wish you all the best going forward. You won't go too far wrong with this man coaching you anyway.
We'll see.
Have me down the farm yet. Put a bit of size on me.
I do the snapping.
Seán, thank you for showing up.
No bother. This week.
No, lads, it's been great, and we really appreciate having you in. This is Clinched in association with this is all about the game in association with Clinched. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next week for episode 20. Thank you.